Steam has had a lot of controversy lately, what with games promoting or showing school shootings, and now Valve has decided to come up with a plan to address very controversial games on the platform, which is to not do it. So, well, let me try and clarify exactly what they mean on this. Valve employee Eric Johnson talked about this in a blog post. We've decided that the right approach is to allow everything onto the Steam store except for things that we decide are illegal or straight up trolling. Taking this approach allows us to focus less on trying to police what should be on Steam and more on building those tools to give people control over what kinds of content they see. Valve shouldn't be the ones deciding this. If you're a player, we shouldn't be choosing for you what content you can or can't buy. If you're a developer, we shouldn't be choosing what content you're allowed to create. Those choices should be yours to make. Our role should be to provide systems and tools to support your efforts to make these choices for yourself and to help you do it in a way that makes you feel comfortable. I feel this is some BS. I think YouTube has had a lot of trouble with this. I think Facebook has had a lot of trouble with this. I think this is kind of abdicating their role in a way. They're acting like Steam is this, this chamber of free ideas and whatever, but Steam is a multi-billion-dollar business. They're acting as if, I don't know, that they're not making money hand over fist over all these games.
Kim, you're absolutely right. Yes, there are many terms for excrement that I could use to discuss Johnson's attitude here. This is what happens when you have companies that want to scale look, I've been working on the web for 20 years because I'm old. And you see what a lot of companies in Silicon Valley will do is like, oh, hey, we can get user-generated content, but oh, it's a lot of work policing that. So we'll just say, you know what, the community will self-police. And that's clearly what Valve is trying to do here with they're letting indie, they clearly want as many games from indie developers as they possibly can, and they don't want to spend the money to police it. Now, I will say it can be difficult setting the guidelines. We wrestle with that here in that we want to have a certain level of where we want to be in ratings as far as like parental guidance, and the FCC doesn't simply publish a list of like, well, then don't say these words. So, because it's all contextual, right? So it takes some thought and it's hard work, but it's work worth doing. And so for Valve to say, oh, what they're basically saying is, we don't want to hire a staff of people to, decide what games aren't going to be there, and we don't want to go to all of the trouble of having to tell people why this game and why not that game. And they're passing the buck, and it's so lazy and irresponsible and stupid, and this is why we can't have nice things, everybody. This is it.
I mean, yeah, that's how I feel. And then if we have, can we address how many junk games are on Steam? Just not even, not maybe controversial, but garbage games made out of materials that they just grab from the web, nothing original, just clearly a cash grab and a lazy one at that. There should be some measure of responsibility for this. If you're going to own the site, if you're going to profit off it.
In a somewhat related kind of subject, I think of how Nintendo all along on its consoles, especially back in the day, around the time of the Super Nintendo, they were releasing games much less often. There were less games available on Nintendo than there were on, say, Sega. Sega, you get on the Sega Genesis.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Well, but the Genesis, like you'd get new cartridges all the time, and not on Nintendo because Nintendo had higher quality standards, and so it was harder to get past their system. It was harder to build a game because they wanted it up to their standards of content. But who's still around making consoles? Right? Who's still the big player? Nintendo, where Sega wasn't able to make that transition because the audience, the users stayed with them. I think Valve's making a terrible mistake here.
I think Valve should go back to making their own games. When you look at Valve's catalog of games, they're great.
Right. Sure.
And they're not controversial and they're not shoddily made, but it seems like a lot of the focus has shifted over to Steam, and I think they should really own it if that's what they're going to do.
I wish that they would take responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? It's, look, they can act all like, oh, this is about freedom of speech and we shouldn't be in that business. No, yes, you should, right? If you're not going to stand by what you're selling, then maybe don't sell it.
Audience, what do you think of what Steam has decided to do or not do? Please let us know on Facebook and Twitter.